Legendary actor Paul Newman once said, "If there truly is a heaven on earth, it must be VIR." For the first time in its half-century history, this truly glorious ribbon of racing real estate hosts the most prestigious event in amateur motorsports, the Sports Car Club of America's National Championship Runoffs.
The sun has risen over Alton, Virginia and Virginia International Raceway for Day 2 of the 56th SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Our coverage presented by Mazda. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ryan Marine. Larry McLeod alongside as we get set to start Day 2 of championship action here at VIR. And kicking things off, it will be the Touring 3 class, T3, about to take to the track. It's a full grid, 20 cars, some great diversity, and a great story on pole with our defending national champion Marshall Mast, who has responded to any pressure associated with trying to defend a title very well, starting on pole and a dominant performance in qualifying.
He is very dominant. You look at his qualifying time out there. He's about half a second up, but he set that faster time actually on the Wednesday qualifying, nearly matched on Thursday. He's just so dialed in that Phoenix Performance Ford Mustang.
Only driver to break the 2:05 barrier in qualifying for this class, a half second faster or thereabouts than his closest competition, Broderick Bogues, who is a local from Laurinburg, North Carolina, hoping to use some of that local track knowledge to his advantage. Meanwhile, let's go down to the pit lane where the third member of our broadcast crew is standing by. Good morning, Hayward Wagner.
Morning, guys. T3, the story is variety. On the front of the grid, we've got a couple of different cars, but I want to take a look deeper in the field. We're going to see some great battles between cars that make speeds in very different ways. We've got a Volkswagen GTI, a Subaru STI, a Mazda Miata, and then one of the new Mazda MX Cup cars. So those two Miatas are going to do very similar things, but all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, lightweight, heavy, turbo, normally aspirated, all these cars going to be having a scrap in the middle of the pack. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, we've got four major contenders in this race. You mentioned Marshall Mast. He's going out on A compounds. He's on the softer compound in that V8 Mustang. The first BMW is going out on A's as well. However, Ott in the third place qualifying, he's going out on R's. And Scotty White, the KG veteran of this class in the great silver V6 Mustang, he's got more speed at the end of the straightaway than anybody else in the class. And I'm not going to say that Scotty likes to steer the car with his foot, but he's got A's on the front and R's on the back.
Fascinating stuff. Good insight from Hayward down on the pit lane, and I'm glad he mentioned the diversity in this field. I think that is one of the hallmarks of this T3 class. 6 different manufacturers represented, many of which with multiple models, and even in the case of Ford, which only has the Mustang, there's a couple different varieties of Mustang that we'll see out on the racetrack.
They've got it all covered, right? You've got the 05 Mustangs, then that slightly newer generation in the 2010 model that Marshall Mast is driving, the BMWs. You've got the Z4s, the Spec E36s, just a huge variety of cars and classes, and it's really interesting. And he talked about Scotty. Scotty is hitting that trap speed all week long at the back of that track, which on a track like this really plays into the favor.
Scotty B. White, he mentioned veteran status for sure. 32 runoff starts, still has the speed as well, qualifying on the outside of the second row. And in an event like this, experience does make a difference, but it's a couple of relatively inexperienced drivers that will be starting up at the front.
Yeah, you look at a guy like Broderick Bogues in that Spec E46. Like you mentioned, he's a local boy out of Laurinburg, North Carolina region, the host region here for this runoffs. This is his first runoff start, although my understanding is he comes out of the Ultimate Streetcar area. He had been running a BMW M3 over there, ran some NASA races, so he's not inexperienced in any way in terms of track time, but this is his first runoff start.
Interesting to note that, yes, there are some veterans in this field. We do have a few former champions, but there are 9 rookies, 9 runoffs rookies in this field. That's nearly half of the grid. How do you expect that to affect what we're about to see unfold over 15 laps?
It's a lot of nerves early in the race. It's a crisp, cool morning. These guys have been here for a week doing practice and qualifying, but you have to sleep on it that night before, knowing your first race out. It's a little bit nerve-wracking, and you get out there and you're in that grid, knowing that the car next to you might be someone like Scotty White with 33 starts or Ott with 17 starts, or maybe, you've got a lot of veterans around you that may know how to jump a nice cold tire start off the green flag.
Scotty B. White, Jason Ott, and Rob Hines, the veterans in this field. They've combined for 65 runoff starts coming into this weekend. As I mentioned, 3 former runoffs champions, Marshall Mast, the defending champion, Daniel Bender, and Rob Hines also in this field. Speaking of the field, we see them rolling out onto the racetrack. Let's introduce you to the starting grid, beginning with our Tire Rack Pole Award winner, Marshall Mast, the Pennsylvanian, driving for the stalwart Phoenix Performance outfit in a 2010 Ford Mustang GT. Broderick Boggess from Laurinburg, North Carolina, in the Moorhead Speedworks BMW Spec E46. Row number 2, starting third, Jason Ott from Littleton, Colorado, in the Alpine Autosport 2007 BMW Z4M. And then Scotty B. White from Auburn, Washington, in the GOT CDL Night Transport LLC Hawk Brakes 2012 Ford Mustang V6 Ford Mustang, it's worth noting. In fifth, Dan March from Boiling Springs, Pennsylvania, in his 1997 BMW E36 M3. Travis Wache from Milford, Connecticut, alongside in sixth in the Indian Summer Racing 2015 Volkswagen GTI. Starting seventh, Rob Hines from Arlington, Virginia, another local 2002 BMW Spec E46 under him. And the number 8, Subaru WRX STI, it's Jared Lindrum starting 8th. Number 68 machine, North Country Subaru, the sponsor for him. 9th place starter Todd Burris from Melbourne, Florida, in a 2004 Mazda Miata. He is the pole sitter for the Spec Miata race. In 10th, Daniel Bender from Northbrook, Illinois, one of the former champions in a 2019 Mazda MX-5 Global Cup car. Starting 11th, Antonio Supa from Connecticut in a 2004 BMW N3. Starting 12th, Philip DePipo from the Phoenix Performance Stable in a 2010 Ford Mustang GT. 13th, T.O. Johnson from Key West, Florida, in a BMW Spec E46. Philip Cunningham from Athens, Alabama, will start 14th in a 2011 Ford Mustang V6. 15th, Nicole Jacques from San Jose, California, in a Ford Mustang GT for Phoenix Performance. 16th, Thomas Ballister from San Juan, Puerto Rico, in a 2004 BMW Spec E46. 17th starting spot belongs to Daniel Spirik from Parker, Colorado, part of the Alpine Motorsports Group, in a 2007 BMW Z4. Rodney King from Wake Forest, North Carolina, starts 18th in a 1997 BMW E36 M3. Frank Garcia in the final row alongside Dana DeShong. Frank driving a Porsche Spec Boxster, Dana in the 2003 BMW 330 ICI. So that is your starting grid here at VIR for the T3 National Championship race. This is the full course layout here at VIR, the full 3.27 miles, and glorious miles they are. This, one of the iconic corners of the circuit, the old oak tree corner, as the field makes their way around towards the back half of this circuit.
Yeah, what a beautiful circuit, as you can see, with the sunrise coming over the east edge this morning, right around that turn 1 as I was up at the paddock by the tower this morning. Just a gorgeous, crisp, cool fall morning here in Virginia. And
cool being the operative word, just 47 degrees as we get this race started. Much cooler than we've seen certainly in the afternoons later on in the afternoon throughout the week. However, the good news is practice and qualifying sessions for these classes, they do their best to make sure they're running at about the same time that they will race, so any data gathered should be relatively applicable here today.
These guys are getting used to being the first ones out all morning long. As I would walk out of my my hotel here at the lodge up on the 3rd floor and look out at turn 4, and I would see all these T3 cars come pouring through, and the grumbling coming from a lot of these Mustangs, some of the V6s, some of the V8s, but just wailing away. It's beautiful. But you're right, they're able to collect that data and apply that to race morning, which we're about to see who is able to use that data the right way.
10 rows of 2 starting to come into alignment behind the Camaro pace car with the special 75th anniversary livery on that pace car, celebrating 75 years of the SCCA. Your pole sitter is the defending champion, Marshall Mast. He's on the inside in the black Mustang. It's the orange BMW of Broderick Boggess starting to his outside. Row 2, Jason Ott and Scotty B. White. Row 3, Dan March and Travis Wache. Field in perfect alignment. Beautiful looking morning here at VIR. This T3 field about to contest a national championship at the SCCA Runoffs. Green flag in the air, and look at this start. It is side by side in a 3-wide move. already headed into turn number 1.
Scotty White trying to make a move on that outside. Looks like they've still got some of that oil cleanup on the outside, so it makes it really tough to get any kind of a move there. Marshall able to hold the inside line. Again, with those A7s Hayward talk about, he and Bogues both on the same autocross compound tire. They're going to be quick in these first couple laps.
Bogues did not give up. He hung in knowing he would be on the inside for this sequence of corners if he could stay there. Marshall Mast now hanging strong on the outside. Look at this. They look like they're in parade alignment for the pace lap, but this is at racing speed on cold tires, still side by side.
I don't see any contact. That is super clean racing in a spot where you just don't see side by side too often.
Hammering those curbs, and that's a beautiful look as this field thunders through for the first time under speed. Bogues gets the jump on the opening lap. Marshall Mast will have to sit and lie in wait. Remember, he was easily the fastest over 3 days of qualifying, setting the fastest mark by about half a second, but he's got his work cut out for him trying to get by the local track master in his Runoffs debut, Broderick Bogues.
And we're watching Scotty White, as Hayward mentioned on the grid. He's got 2 different compounds. He's got the nice soft sticky ones up front, the little harder ones in the back. Early in this race, how is he in those corners? Look good coming off there, but he's got the straight line speed. See if he can get right up there with Mast going into the hilltop here at 13 and 14.
Good battling out of Oak Tree further in the pack. Saw that BMW get awfully sideways. Here comes Marshall Mast. Power move down the back straightaway to take the lead away.
Scotty follows him right on in the inside there.
Those Mustangs are stout in a straight line. Bogues, though, not willing to give that position up quite so easily to Scotty B. White, the veteran. Is going to have to work on this a little longer.
I suspect Bogues has a little better brakes in that BMW than Scotty's got in his Mustang.
And through the twisty sections, that BMW has looked stout, but boy, the power of that Mustang sure was impressive just a moment ago. In the 0-9, that is Ott. Jason Ott, who started third, dropped to fourth here on the opening lap, and now he is hounding Scotty B. White as they come by the front straightaway for the first time.
Scotty trying that pass, not able to make it stick, and falling back kind of left him into a bad spot coming over the top of the roller coaster. Ott able to capitalize and put himself right alongside. Ott now might be able to get alongside Scotty going through some of these twisty things.
Marshall Mast leads lap number 1. March now to the outside of Hines in the battle for 5th. We'll see how this one sorts itself out as they come into a section of the track where we saw the leaders side by side through, the first 4 or 5 corners. That was impressive stuff on the opening lap.
As I see some side-by-side still going on, there's that Volkswagen back there of Travis Wache.
Marshall Mast had an advantage of 0.6 of a second at the line. Bogues appears to have closed in again here in this part of the track. This is where that BMW has been strong, but now starting to see the Mustang pulling away.
There. That's the March and Wache battle as they were side by side on the short straight there on the bridge. It looks like March has got the advantage here going into South Bend. But Wache's been just hounding him.
March started in 5th in a 1997 BMW E36. Wache in his Volkswagen GTI started in 6th. And it's one of the brilliant things about this class. There are so many different cars. They make power, they make speed in different ways, and it's a give and take over the course of a 3.27-mile lap at VIR. This class as well rewards speed in different areas in different ways.
Yeah, we talked about March there in that battle. You can see him right on the tail there. This is his first runoffs, but the Hoosier Tour Series this year, he did take a win, and he was on the podium in all 4 races. He knows how to get to the front of the pack.
Talking to a lot of the drivers in local track experience, they do think it is valuable.
And that is Rob Hines. Again, we talked about him on the outset here. He won T2 about 20 years ago. This is the 20th anniversary of that win. He's right now at the lead of this threesome in that Spec E46.
So Hines running in 5th. That's Scotty B. White that you're seeing on your screen holding the 3rd and final podium position. He's got Jason Ott trying to track him down. Again, Ott swings to the outside here in turn 1. And Scotty B able to hold him off and then slips wide and perhaps has a problem. He appears to be off the pace, but perhaps that was just missing that corner that caused him to back it up.
I suspect maybe even missed a shift. Again, these are traditional, floor gearboxes in these cars. These are not exactly your pedal shift systems you'd find on GT cars, and sometimes you just miss a shift.
How about this, looking at timing and scoring? Bogues just set the fastest lap of the race. He was about a 1/10 of a second faster than Marshall Mast that last time around. The gap between first and second, 5.8 seconds. And now let's see what Ott can do. He's about 3 seconds adrift, but that BMW has shown some pace throughout the week.
It has, but he's all by himself right now because Scotty now has pushed himself right back in front of Rob Hines. So now you got Scotty White, Rob Hines, March, and Wishay. That foursome, nose to tail, coming around South Bend.
And Hines, one of those veterans we've talked about, 17 runoff starts. He had that championship in Mid-Ohio 20 years ago. Has also a couple of runoffs medals, second place finishes in his career and 1/3, so 3 total medal appearances in 17 previous starts.
And Hines here, we just talked in the onset also about Scotty White's top speed going down this back straight. Hines is going to take advantage of that in the draft and see if maybe he can start to make a new move, because that car should be quicker down the roller coaster and back onto the front straight. And you can see the trap speed there. You can just see the gap. But under braking, that BMW, both BMWs, the Volkswagen, should be able to come right back up onto him.
Let's take a look a little bit elsewhere here in the field. That's the 07 of Cunningham running in the 16th spot. At least the last time they came around, I believe that's Spirik behind him.
Might be, and if it is, he started in 17th. So yeah, this should be the battle for 16th here. These two are just nose to tail again, just sticking together. That's what happens in these races, is we've noticed, eventually you find somebody you end up pairing up with, and you battle, whether you're battling for first, battling for fourth, or battling for 16th. It's a battle nonetheless, and that's what you remember. That's what really makes these things interesting.
And this is amateur club racing for sure, but it's that enthusiasm that really makes it special. The enthusiasm extra special at the front of the field as Broderick Bogues has tracked down Marshall Mast. You couldn't slip a piece of paper between the two of them a moment ago. All kinds of pressure on the back of that Mustang.
He is. Now, they're on the same compound tire, but I wonder if perhaps the BMW might be a little bit better on those tires. Although they're probably similar weights. They're probably, I don't know the exact numbers, just, 3,000, 3,200 pounds in that range. But you can see right there, a little more slide from Mast as he comes up the top of the upper S's. And they go around, again, a little bit more drift there out of Mast, and you see out of Bogues coming around South Bend into the Oak Tree turn. Again, there's no Oak Tree anymore, but we still call it the Oak Tree Bend.
Its name's not going anywhere. Anyone with any affinity for this place remembers the tree that lent its name to that corner quite fondly. It was certainly an icon of this circuit. Look at this battle for the lead here. Interesting to note, between these two drivers, just a handful of runoffs appearances. Marshall Mast made his debut at Indianapolis. This is his 3rd runoff start. And this is a first start for Bogues, but maybe the new wave of contenders in the SCCA's Touring 3 class. Watching these two, we were talking about the tire conservation element of this race a moment ago, and got a little word from the truck that, yeah, there probably is something to your speculation that the BMW is going to be easier on its tires. So the longer this battle goes, the advantage starts to shift the way of Broderick Bogues.
He just seems to be treating his tires a little bit better. He's not sliding as much. That shot we had coming through Hog Pen, you just saw Mast a little bit more drift in the Mustang than you saw with Bogues in that BMW. And I wonder as we get into laps 9, 10, 11, as we get a few left in the race, if that's really going to play into him. Again, they're on the same compound. And that compound is good for the early laps, not so good later on for durability. And I also still wonder if behind them, if Ott in that BMW, who's all on the R6 compound, if he can actually catch these two later in the race.
Well, he just set his best lap of the race, and it's a couple tenths of a second off of what the front two are doing, but we have seen if he can take care of his tires and these two are duking it out, perhaps this race comes to the veteran, Jason Ott, who 10 years ago was a runner-up when the runoffs were held at Road America. That is, to date, his best finish at one of these runoffs events.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, if these two start going side by side in spots, start losing speed, stop working together, it's just going to fall right back to Ott. If I'm Bogues right now, I'm almost thinking I could just sit here, take care of my tires, let Mast worry about me more than anything else, and wait for Mast to try and make a mistake.
And as you see here, Hines and Wache have moved up to 4th and 5th. Lendrum as well has gotten past Scotty B. White, who had that tremendous start, but has since dropped down to 7th. And you see a big lockup there from him coming into Oak Tree. A lot of smoke coming off of the right front tire in that back of that shot a moment ago.
Yeah, that will definitely hurt your exit speed because this track's all about exit. Here we go again. This battle here developing.
Shea able to pull alongside of Hines and get that pass done before they get to the braking zone. That has to be demoralizing for Hines to see that GTI sneak past there on a straight line.
It does, and a lot of that's that draft. I mean, again, these are non-aero at all cars. These are essentially full factory bodies on these things. So you really get a huge advantage if you can draft up on somebody. But you can see why Shea looks really good coming down the roller coaster.
His last lap was also his personal best. Move him up now into the 4th spot. Here's the battle for the lead. It continues, and you can tell the pressure is on Marshall because he was guarding that inside line. That's caused him to slip wide here, and this might be a repeat of what we saw, although that's a lot of smoke there out of the BMW all of a sudden. But I was wondering if we might see a repeat of what we saw in the opening lap with these two going side by side for the first 4 or 5 corners.
Yeah, I really do think Boggas maybe isn't even intending on making those passes stick. He's just pressuring, and trying to force Marshall to go off his line.
And Marshall does not have a lot of experience. We were talking about this. You had a chance to speak with Joe Angbolante, who, of course, heads up this Phoenix operation, a real powerhouse operation. And Marshall Mast is a bit of a diamond in the rough that they happen to sneak up on. But let's look at this again. I mentioned I saw a lot of smoke. Do you have any idea what that might be?
I'm not really sure what that could be. I don't know if he's got like an oil collector somewhere that maybe he's just going to, maybe even a diff seal on the back of that car. So I'll have to really keep an eye on that. Oh, look at that slide though on a Mast, and that's in the wrong place to slide as you're coming out of Oak Tree. That just kills your momentum.
And momentum is key down this long, flat-out portion of the track.
But look at Boggas, decided not to stick his nose out, decided let's just stay in behind him, stay on plan, and he's going to push him. These may as well be Spec Miatas going to the back straight. He's just almost bumping him, and I really don't know that he's intending to stay behind. Look at it, I don't think he is.
We'll see
he's
what
on
happens.
The inside. This is the good place to be if you're going into 14, is on the inside.
Gets the job done. So Marshall Mast, looks like the handling might be going away a little bit on that Mustang, but there is the reliability concern.
There is, and I don't even know, unless he's getting radio calls from his crew, if he knows that there was a little bit of smoke coming out of there. We'll have to see if it happens. There it is again, I think, unless that's some dirt coming off the side of the track. We'll
I think it was a little of both. Yeah, I think it was some dirt, but also some more smoke. So Marshall Mast, I'm sure, just saw that. He's going to keep the pressure up. That looks like some more smoke coming off.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
No.
We're not even halfway through this.
It's going to be a long way to try and nurse that home for the North Carolinian, Broderick Boggas. Very impressive here in his runoffs debut. Snatched the lead away on the opening lap. Marshall Mast took it back before they got to the start-finish line. That last lap was the first lap led for Boggas at these runoffs. But definitely some concern about the health of that BMW.
Yeah, it's strange. I keep seeing it when he makes right turns, but I'm not seeing it on those two lefts that we just saw through NASCAR and the left kink going into 4, which would be really odd if it's, diff seal, but maybe if it's just on one side. But I'm sure now he's got the radio and he's being told to that there's something going on. He's got a long way to go, though. Still 8.5 laps to the left in this one, so this race is far from over.
And Marshall Mast also has to feel like if he hadn't made that little slip up, that slide that we saw through Oak Tree, he might still be the leader at this point. So his fight continues at the front of the field as we drop back now. This is a really good-looking group of cars here.
Yeah, that's Daniel Bender in that MX-5 Global Cup car. He's the third one in this train behind those two BMWs.
So I think
Supa and Ballister, the two BMWs in front of him.
Ballister in 9th, Supa in 10th. Just got by Bender on the last lap to take the final spot in the top 10.
Yeah, here at this horsepower track, and again, top speed seems to matter a lot. I just don't know that the Cup car really has the legs like the BMWs would have in this back track. You'll see it here as he just fades. Even though he's got a draft, he just doesn't quite have the top end of those two BMWs.
One thing that we'll note is that in qualifying, when it's just about a single lap pace, a lot of these cars, they can make about the same lap time, but there is an advantage to having the straightaway speed to be able to make that pass. If you're straightaway speed deficient, it's hard to get around somebody that, even if you get a run on them out of a corner, can just leg you out late in the straightaway.
It is, and that's what happens in some of these touring classes with all these different makes and models. Everybody's making speed differently. If you are the underpowered car, you've got to nail every one of those exits and hope that the guy behind you doesn't, because even though you faster down the roller coaster, or you're faster through NASCAR Bend, if you're behind them, you can't use that speed.
So Hines has now fallen back into the clutches of Jared Lindrum, the New York native, and his Subaru. This is the fight over the 5th spot here.
I think Lindrum was kind of hoping that we had a little bit of moisture today. Unfortunately, that may be pushed till tomorrow's races for him. But running quick here up into 6th spot in that all-wheel drive Subaru.
Lindrum making his 4th runoff start. Had a 5th place at Mid-Ohio in 2016. That was his career best.
He's really pressuring Hines right now.
Not much of a gap at all between those two here as we're at that about halfway mark of this race. 15 laps or 40 minutes. Thankfully, it's been clean and green so far. And as I say that, go figure, we have Philip Cunningham off track. Looks like a simple spin, but the car is not under power at the moment. Let's take a look and see what happened.
And it's just going into one, just broke deep. Got out probably a little bit of dirt debris on the outside. Yeah, that's all that is there. Should be back underway.
Cunningham was running in the 15th spot at the time of the spin. Happy to see him back on the racetrack. That's certainly good news. And with 8 laps to go, it is Broderick Bogues leading Marshall Mast by a half a second here in the T3 National Championship.
Janice.
What's up, Doug? Hi, Cheryl. What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. We've been doing it for American racing for over 50 years. Fuel your best.
Isn't it time you connected to something greater? Sometimes the best way to connect is to disconnect. This moment of escape was brought to you by Haggerty, for people who love cars.
The battle at the front of the field for the T3 National Championship continues to rage. Marshall Mast and Broderick Bogues have been in a battle royale since the drop of the green. Mast actually had the lead at the line on the last lap. Bogues was able to take it back, and clearly this isn't done yet. Mast got out into the oil dry a moment ago. You saw him make the save there, and now he continues on. As we take a look at what happened while we were in break, this was how the lead switched hands initially. Around the outside.
They've been using Frank Garcia there in that Boxster. One of the back markers in the field is a bit of an inside mark to go around.
So actually, that's how Bogues got back around Mast then. Mast had taken the lead somewhere earlier in the lap. So that's how we run right now. We've talked about the smoke that we're seeing out of the Bogues car. We are getting word from the pit lane that apparently the crew has intentionally put extra oil in that car, so some of it will spill out, and they're not so surprised to see some of that smoke. Nevertheless, we'll keep an eye on it, and maybe they're bluffing. You never know.
You never know.
Because I bet they probably know that the Phoenix guys are keeping an eye and an ear on what we're saying, trying to get any information that they can.
I'm positive they are. I'm sure Andrew and Joe are sitting back here watching all this, and they know exactly what's going on with both of these cars. As he's closing the gap. Again, this is where it gets interesting with 6 to go, 5.5 to go. It's going to come down to a last lap opportunity. Where do you want to be on the second to last lap? You might actually want to be trailing coming into Oak Tree, and again, just about contact. I honestly don't know that they've touched it all, but they've been close about 6 times.
I think there was one brief moment when we first noticed the smoke. It was right after that, and if you look on the door of Bogues, there is that little wheel mark right there on that left side, but that's it. I mean, other than that, it's been about as clean as you could ask for. And
yeah, but look at him watching him. He's coming down the roller coaster into Hog Pen, and both of them are using a whole lot of curves and getting those insides up. They are using every bit of this. This is a dogfight right up through the end here. Tough to go around that outside again. Look at all that oil dry that was from one of the later races yesterday. That's a Marshall just found, but now he's going to try a little up and under. I just don't know if he can make that stick because Broderick's on the inside going into NASCAR Bend.
And this is the section where we see that oil most prominently, but doesn't seem to be anything to be concerned about, at least to this point. Bogues able to hold off Marshall Mast once again. It's interesting as well that it seems whoever is behind, they have that little extra pace. Some of it might be the draft, but there's also that incentive. Anytime you're trying to chase somebody down, that does help. As Lindrum is off. Lindrum was running in 6th. We were talking about him battling with Hines over 5th, and here's what happened.
That's just coming into 1. Again, he's outside, but don't let oil dry. Yep, got on the brakes late. Got into some of that oil dry pile that's way, way deep in that corner, and that just pushes him right off track, but he's back in the way. Subaru doing Subaru things right there.
That's a good point. He did have some competitors relatively close, so I suspect he might have lost a couple of positions there. And going back to this battle for the lead, well, as we drop back again here, this is a look a little bit further back at the 56 of Burris in that Miata. Burris right now trying to chase down Scotty B. White, who was running towards the front.
It got word that Scotty's had issues all week long with his ABS, and as you had seen earlier, it looked like a little bit of lockup there, and that's still kind of plaguing him. And this track with a couple of really hard braking points, that's tough to manage.
And it's worth noting that driving a car that has ABS that's not functioning properly or at all is not like driving a car that just doesn't have ABS. They're really designed to have it, and if you don't, it really
you
can
just
throw
never
a monkey
know when
wrench
ABS is
in.
going to kick in or not, so you're just completely just soft on that pedal the whole time. Now, of course, he's got the power there to pull off of that corner over Burris in that Mazda speed.
It's a nice run for Burris. Started 9th, running 8th. We know he's quick because he's going to be on the Spec Miata pole later today. Oh, look at this. Little 3-wide battle deep in the field. This is what's so fun about a class like this. 20 cars, some real enthusiasts taking part in this class as well.
One of the Phoenix cars there, Philip DePippo in the orange Mustang. BMW there, that's T.O. Johnson in his Spec E46. They were just getting past Frank Garcia, who's in that Spec Boxster back there.
So give DePippo now the 12th position. He was running 13th a moment ago, able to make that pass.
In 3 of these Phoenix Racing entries in here, the Phoenix Performance, that's the Joe Aquilante shop. They're a really strong outfit. They do rental cars. They also have their own drivers, like Marshall Mast is actually one of their team. Essentially, he's a mechanic. He drives their trucks. He works right for them, and now you can see he's out of the front row. But you've got Nicole Jacques in this field. She's in a Mustang, and then, of course, right here, Philip DePippo in that orange Mustang. They are customers to them, but they're almost like family with those customers, the way Joe talks about them.
And it is interesting, too, the dynamic of this class. You do have the operations like Phoenix and all the success that they've had, and then you have the true privateers that can go toe-to-toe with the best prep shops out there. In some cases, it's the driver turning the wrenches as well, and that might be the extent of the crew.
It completely is. And I know that Marshall's one of the wrenches. He's not just truck driver. He does everything. He and Andrew and Kurt Rezzitano, those three guys do nothing but work on cars until they're allowed to put a helmet on and go and drive. I suspect that Broderick Bogues is also.
Oh my goodness, so Mast got by, drops a wheel off, and how about that save?
What is underneath?
I think that's probably some grass that we saw burning, right? He was off track, probably drug up some of that dead grass. It got on the hot exhaust underneath.
We have seen some grass fires this week when cars go off. It's been so dry, but what a save coming down roller coaster to not go around, and great response there from Bogues to not run into him because as he was going around.
We do have a car off here and in a rather compromised position. We hope we can stay green. Good news is we're being told he was able to keep moving as Bogues trying to take that lead back. This is amazing. A guy making his Runoffs debut, fighting toe-to-toe with the defending national champion. Marshall Mast, the defending champion, leading in the number 31 Mustang. Broderick Bogues in the 133. This has been an unrelenting battle all race long, actually reminiscent of what we saw a year ago for Marshall Mast.
Yeah, when it was Mark Drennan last year, they did the same thing to Marshall, just pestered him. And that, very similar situation. Last year, Drennan was sort of the track master at Sonoma. Bogues, a lot of experience here at VIR, coming in from the Laurinburg, North Carolina area. This is his home track. He's doing the same thing now to Marshall, and Marshall showing that the same guts, the same ice in his veins to keep in front of him, and showing the car control that he learned as a young kid, as after he got his job with Phoenix. And then Phoenix learned that, oh yeah, he's been driving karts since he was 8 or 9 years old. He's showing that skill is just inherent to him, and the car control, as he saved it down roller coaster. And now again, that car's got about a 2-degree slip angle rolling around through the Oak Tree Bend down to the back straight. Unbelievable car control going on right now.
From both of these drivers, watching these cars coming through the twisty section, so much elevation change around this track, watching the cars pitch and roll, I think that's one of the appeals of this class.
It is, because they are essentially just take a car off the showroom floor, take the interior out, put a cage in, unbolt all the stuff that makes the car slow, and bolt on stuff that makes the car fast, and there you have a touring car. And so they are a lot like what you drive in the street. These things do bound around. You can see them there as they're hitting the curbs and bouncing, and that's what these cars do. And it's exciting to watch.
Marshall Mast looking for his second Runoffs championship in just his third appearance. Broderick Bogues trying to win on debut. Just 2 laps to go at VIR, the 56th annual SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Oh, what a show this has been as Bogues takes the dive to the outside, trying to pinch Mast down. It's going to be side by side here, and a couple of left-handed corners coming up. Advantage, you would think, to Bogues.
I was wondering how long he was going to wait to make the move. He saw that opportunity. That's a tough pass to make. If you don't get too wide, there is grip there. There's some sealer down that usually later in the day when it gets sunny becomes grippy. He was able to find it in that corner. Now can he make it stick? He may have found that opportunity to go, but Marshall now as the hunter might be able to get him going down the back straight again. But this is going to be an exciting lap and a half.
Smoke still pouring out of that orange BMW anytime they go through the twisty portions of this track. Marshall Mast has not given up the chase. Demoted to second a moment ago, but all over the back of Broderick Bogues. And we know he's got some power if he can get a nice run onto one of the many long straightaways.
He is trying to pressure that rookie into making a mistake, but I don't see Broderick even putting an inch off here at all. Marshall trying to set up to make a good run there. Nice late apex.
I'll tell you what, Bogues got a nice run through there too, though, and had a gap. We'll see if it's big enough. That Mustang has shown its power in a straight line earlier in this race. And this straightaway has to seem interminably long for Broderick Bogues. He's got to like what he's seeing in his rearview mirror for the moment, though. Mast is there, but is he close enough? Shows the nose.
They touch?
They might have. It was close, but he holds him off for now.
Unbelievable, yeah. And again, Marshall, it looked like he was doing what Bogues did earlier, which is just to fill the mirrors any way you can and pressure. Again, they're pounding these curves coming down through Hug Bend.
Huge slide, huge counter steer, full opposite lock for Marshall Mast, but he gets a great run down onto the front straightaway here. Bogues already defending to the inside, going to force Marshall Mast to go the long way around. Bogues knows, though, It can be done. He just did it last lap to take the lead.
You have to, right? You've got to force him outside. It is the harder way. You can do it.
On the
Marshall setting
final
up the late
lap,
apex.
Marshall Mast trying the crossover. Not going to work this time. Bogas a little bit compromised on his entrance to this corner here. Final lap in the T3 championship race. And what a show it's been! Marshall Mast, 4 wheels off track, somehow wrangles it back under control. But might that have been
He picked up some dirt.
his last chance? Look at the gap all of a sudden.
We
Marshall
got lap
Mast.
traffic in front, and they're coming up to the S's, and it's impossible to pass to the S's even when there's lap traffic. That might be enough for Mast to make that ground up.
By the way, Bogas has been blisteringly quick. Both of these drivers have, but Bogas has the best lap of the race, and it is a new track record by over a second. That's a big lead that he's got right now.
This is not over.
Nope.
I'm watching Marshall, and he is closing, and then he might be able to, if he can get a good hook off the edge of this oak tree, he might be able to be on a tail going up into 14.
Look at
one
that.
dash at it.
Carrying so much speed through Oak Tree, gets a nice smooth run out. Bogas does have one of the lap cars he can get a tow off of here. That might be helpful, but then again, depending on when they catch this traffic, that could be a major
I'd
impediment.
like to see that lap car, and that's the 07
Cunningham.
Cunningham. Love to see if he can make sure he's out of the way by the time these two come through.
That is a position no one wants to be in. You just want to run your race and finish the runoffs
Sure, then
without
flags.
impeding.
Oh, this is going to make it interesting. If they're going to come off a hog pen, they could be side by side going across the stripe.
Just a few corners to go. That Mustang has looked diabolically tail happy throughout the course of this race. Somehow Marshall Mast, he has made countless unbelievable saves, but Roderick Bogas has a bit of a cushion. Cunningham pulls out of the way. We'll see, can Mast make the run? It does not look like he can. Roderick Bogas wins on debut. He is your T3 national champion.
What a great battle between these two. That was so exciting. And here, Ott's been by himself the whole race. Great finish for him as well to be up on that podium again.
The veteran comes home with another medal. Probably has no idea what a thrilling race this was. He had a much different perspective, ultimately coming home 18 seconds behind the race lead in third. Let's drop back. This is Lindrum. We saw him off track a few moments ago. He's been able to recover and get back up to sixth.
We talked about different cars in this field. There couldn't be 2 more different cars. The all-wheel drive Subaru, the Mazda Speed, and the Miata behind him, and it's going to come down to the finish.
Burris takes a peek to the inside, but doesn't have the ponies to get it done. Advantage Lindrum. He'll take sixth. Burris seventh. Scotty B. White has fallen back and will settle for the 8th spot. We've got Ballister and Supa completing the top 10.
Great finish there for Linder. Remember, we saw him at the exit of 1 where he went deep, was on the grass to come back up and get into 6th. That's a great run for Linder.
Very nice recovery because he had lost a few of those spots. He was running 6th when that happened, able to get back to that position. But there is the man of the hour pumping that fist, and for good reason. What a drive. And the cool poise under pressure for a rookie being harried on that lap by the defending national champion.
And he did. And he almost, even though he was leading when Marshall had that bit of a slide coming out of the NASCAR bend, a lot of that was Marshall maybe getting a little bit desperate at that point. The tires might have finally been going away. Bogas was just so cool, so composed, was not going to put an inch off. He was going to hang on to that. And it all goes into that move that he made going into 2 laps earlier when I thought maybe he was going too early, but he found an opportunity, made it stick, and held on to the lead.
And I guess that smoke we were talking so much about was much ado about nothing, huh?
Apparently the team was right. They just overfilled it a little bit just to protect. That's all it was, and the car comes home.
Well,
look at him pumping that fist. He's so happy.
I, for one, am glad that didn't amount to anything more, because that was a tremendous show. 15 laps without stop. Just hammer and tong at the front of the field. Amazing stuff.
Yeah,
what the runoffs are all about.
He's gonna be fumbling to get that helmet off here in a second, as he's so pumped. The adrenaline is just peaked right now. He's one happy guy there, Roderick Bogas, your champion.
And how about Marshall Mast? He has now finished on every step of the podium at the runoffs. 3 starts, a first, a third in his debut at Indy, and now here.
Yeah, this guy's going to be around for a long time. Keep your eye on Mast to come. But for today. This was all about Bogas able to get to that top step, and look at him. He wants to just jump out of that car, but wait, you can't. You got another lap to make.
That is pure unbridled joy. Look at that. Medal going around his neck. Let's get down to Hayward and have a word with our champion.
Guys, we have not seen many people more happy than Broderick here. What an incredible race. Let me just start at the beginning. Did you think that you had enough for the Mustang at the beginning of this?
Yes. We believed all week that we could do this. I love this platform. Moorhead Speedworks built the best Spec E46s in the country. I mean, without all those guys, all those people supporting me, this would not be possible. But I cannot tell you how elated I am right now, especially with how hard that race was.
Let's talk about how hard that was, because this is a cold morning and you are sweating pretty good right now.
Yeah, Marshall, man, I mean, it was tough. I knew the Mustang was going to be tough in the straight line, but I tucked in behind him, tried to do everything I could to wait for his tires to fall off a little bit, then I pounced. But we swapped positions a couple times, and I wasn't going to let this one go. I just wasn't.
Talk to me about your confidence on this racetrack. You went the long way around a bunch of corners to stay door-to-door with him. You really looked like you knew that this track very well.
Yeah, I only live about 2 hours from here, and I race in other championships here a lot, and I actually hold the track record in another championship here. So I've been around this place once or twice, so that was the reason I wanted to come here for this runoffs at this racetrack, for this right here.
Did you know you reset the track record?
No, I had no idea.
Did you know you did it by 3 seconds?
No, I did not.
Congratulations on the championship. You get one more lap.
Thank you so much. I'm waiting for my crew chief and my dad to get down here first.
Look at that joy on his face. Thank you so much, Hayward. That is awesome. Really
That's
cool.
why we do this, yeah. That's what club racing's all about. Look at the joy on him. He's almost stunned.
Tells you what these runoffs mean as we take a look at the final results. Marshall Mast, I'm curious to hear his take on all of this. I'm sure as defending champion, he would have liked to have repeated, but all in all, a tremendous effort from him. Comes up 0.4 of a second short. Jason Ott in third, your final medalist. Travis Wachet, Rob Hines in fourth and fifth. Jared Lindrum, the recovery to sixth. Todd Burris giving that Miata a nice run, perhaps portending good things for the rest of the day with his Spec Miata race coming up as we look at the rest of the top 10, White, Ballister, and Supa. Back down to Hayward.
Marshall, an incredible race. What a battle. Let me just start by asking, after last year, how tired are you of being in close proximity to an E46?
Oh, I'm very tired. Very, very tired. That was a tough race. Congrats to Broderick. He drove a great race. I gave it all I got.
It looked like as the race went on, you just kept losing grip, and the car control that you were putting on display was absolutely masterful. Do you feel like with a couple of more laps you had a chance to run him back down? Do you feel like you were just completely out of it?
Maybe another lap if I wouldn't have messed up on the last lap there in 3 and 4, because that was the last lap I was pushing as hard as I could, and it just got away from me a little bit. If I could have got another lap to get close, could have tried something, but not sure how well it would have worked.
Well, I know second is not what you came here for, but congratulations on an incredible race.
Thank you.
And we've got one more driver we need to speak with real quick, our third place finisher. Third place? You just had a nice little drive in the country, didn't you?
Yeah, a nice little Sunday drive or Saturday drive at 140 miles an hour. It was good. It was a great race. Unfortunately, I just lost pace on the beginning with the front two and just could never really regain it. But it was an awesome drive.
Congratulations on the Runoffs podium.
Thank you very much. Real quick, thank you to Jim and Bob and Bimmerhouse. Hoosier Tire, absolutely awesome. Bimmer World, thank you guys. Everybody, I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but thank you to all my friends and family.
Congratulations to all three of our podium finishers. What a race that was. T3 is quickly becoming my favorite class. It seems like every year we've got a great race to call, and this one was no exception.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Let's take a look at the replay and plenty of highlights from this race. This was the start. Marshall Mast had the pole, the Tire Rack Pole Award winner, but didn't keep it entirely. He was able to race his way back around, lost the lead, got it back. They swapped those spots, he and Broderick Bogas, multiple times throughout the course of this race. It's Bogas taking the lead around the outside right there. A little further back, here's that off-road excursion we talked about for Lindrum. And Subaru doing Subaru things, as you so aptly put it. Here we go, once again, the battle at the front. It was hard to take your eyes off of it.
All that car control of both these drivers, but his Mast right here showing that he's not going to lose it, even though all the grip on the right side goes away, able to contain, and one more lap again, he could have made ground.
That was his last shot, but congratulations, Broderick Bogas, our national champion.
I probably need new tires. You do.
What if they sold tires online?
We do. We're TireRack.com.
They could offer lots of tires
We have so many tires.
and help you find the right tire.
It's called the Tire Decision Guide.
Oh, and they could ship them to a nearby mechanic.
We shipped to over 7,000 independent recommended installers.
This is an amazing idea. Sorry.
TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Experience the reimagined Mazda 3.